Hi, Nick Booth, Podnosh from Birmingham. Nick, can you tell me anything about your experience, or others in Birmingham, of how to get service users involved in the design of digital public services?
I think you actually need to start. You need to be careful not to assume that the public understand what you're talking about when you're talking about digital public services. So one of our experiences, which I have to say didn't go brilliantly, but was part of a process with timely information for citizens, was not going to citizens and saying, what data would you like or what would you like to do with this, but going to them and saying, can we share with you some skills about the web? Can we show you how to use the web for your own interests? And skilling them up so that when we ask them questions about data, they had half a notion of what we were talking about. The truth is, if you'd gone along and shown them data mashing and they'd never really used the web before, you'd have fried their mind. So I think that there may be, to have there's two layers here. There's the having a conversation with people who are completely digitally naive, that's valid, but if you try to have a conversation with only digitally naive people, you don't bother to skill them up, you're not going to have a very fruitful conversation.
So is that one of the ways in which engagement with service users is different in the digital world from the non-digital world?
I don't know, actually. I suppose so. I suppose so. The point is, it's a slightly different medium. It's a slightly different way of doing business. And if you're asking people what works for them, they need to understand what you're talking about. So, I mean, I don't know how different it is really. But all I'm saying is, I think it's worth thinking about skilling people up enough so that they can have a fruitful conversation with you.
And does that also apply to the service providers?
Oh, true it does. So, yeah, because in the end, if you actually concentrate on the way people understand, the way people use the net and the way people use digital services and helping them to have the freedom to use them to suit themselves, what they will do is design digital services anyway, by default. They'll start finding pathways around the net to make things happen. And the more you skill them up, the more they will simply, by the nature of using the net, design it for you. So yes. I'm sorry, that's a bit whiffly-woffly.
No, that's great. I mean, so digital services are going to be developed in any case. The issue is how do you do it in a way which engages the people you really want to engage.
Yeah, and I suppose actually talking to you now, I guess the thing is that if you didn't design digital public services, but you just skilled the country up to use the web well, they would do it for you. Just spend the money on skilling them up. They will invent these services anyway.
So have you got a hunch whether it's basically just skilling people up and letting them loose with Google and other tools?
Precisely, and if they understand RSS feeds, if they understand how to connect things, if they, then people will start making it work for themselves. And that's what's happening. Talk about local and Podnosh, and we're doing, all the people who are doing neighbourhood-based blogging and the like, and starting to add widgets in and sucking services out of local government and turning those into useful things. They're doing it already, but this is a sort of a marginal, almost elite who are doing it. You can spread those skills much more widely, and people will become more and more inventive.